Hi there, it's Erik here, and welcome to the Building My Freedom Business podcast. Today is episode 4, and our guest today is Lorraine Taylor from LorraineTaylor.com. And Lorraine is a speaker, she's an author, she's a coach, she's a workshop facilitator, she is many, many things. And when you visit her website, LorraineTaylor.com, you will see at the top a sentence that says, live your best life with passion and purpose. So live your best life with passion and purpose. And Lorraine is about be brand you and do brand you. So I hope you enjoy this interview where I take Lorraine on a journey through her life of becoming an entrepreneur. And at the end of the interview, she will also say something about a project that she is launching, that she's starting in September. Enjoy the interview. All right, I would like to welcome my guest for today's podcast, and her name is Lorraine Taylor. Lorraine, I want to welcome you. I want to thank you for the time that you're giving us to tell your story, your journey. I know that your website domain is LorraineTaylor.com, but I know there's lots of other stuff happening in your business world, in your journey, and we're going to go deeper into that, and you can give the other domain names that are connected to that. But first of all, I am really curious because, all right, you're where you are right now, you haven't always been there. So what has been your journey? Can you give us a bit of a background of how did Lorraine end up doing what you're doing right now? Have you always been in business? Have you done other things? Give us a bit of a background story, Lorraine.
All right. Thank you, Erik. And I'm looking forward to this conversation. So,
Me too.
Yeah, I would say that my journey pivoted in 2010. I was in New Zealand at the time. Part of me that you get to know is for 22 years, I lived in Dubai and New Zealand, so that was a bit crazy. We can talk about that later. But in 2010, I had an opportunity to go back and become a student again. I have been teaching secondary school mathematics for 12 years in 5 different countries. And I wanted to go back and get a master's in education. Now, this is 2010. And so I did online learning. That was the new thing. And it pulled me into this really amazing group of people that were connected globally. And all of a sudden, I was opened up to a world of people connected with this information going around. And I realized very quickly that the world was changing, how we were going to be lifelong learners and all of that. And so the issue is that when I graduated, I had this problem.
Okay.
It was a painful problem. And I had 2 questions. And one was, who am I? And the second one is, where's my community? This is in 2013. So I grew up in a small town in Colorado, and the people that I went to primary school with were the same ones I graduated with. We were in a small town, we had traditions. When my dad said, you need to be careful about your reputation, I understood that. But in 2013, I didn't know where my community was. I didn't know who I was in this global world where communication channels were blowing up. And that began a journey of self-discovery that ended up me publishing a book called BEbrandYOU. But the part of the journey for my business was when people were asking me then, can you do a workshop on Instagram? And I would, and they would say, how do I put the app on my phone? How do I post? And I realized very quickly that that wasn't the problem that they needed to answer. And I didn't want to answer that question for them, because if you don't know who you are and you don't know how to communicate in the new channels, then you are kind of nowhere. So just kind of fast forward very quickly. That's where I started. Was with those problems. Yeah.
You got me a little bit curious. How does someone end up from Colorado into Dubai and then into New Zealand? Give us a little bit of a background story, whatever you want to share from that journey.
Well, it gets a little more confusing. Yeah. So actually, I decided after I finished my first bachelor's degree in the States that I wanted to travel, and I just joined the Peace Corps. And I ended up in Papua New Guinea. And so I ended up meeting this pilot from New Zealand. And we ended up living in the Seychelles, and then we ended up living in Dubai. He was a captain with Emirates, a 380 captain, and he's from New Zealand. And now I'm from New Zealand, and I'm no longer American, which we'll bring up later in the new book I have. But
right.
That's the connection.
That's the connection. Okay, so you're part of your, well, the Lorraine Taylor brand. You just mentioned BEbrandYOU. That's something I understand was sort of started with your book in 2013. Am I correct?
Not exactly. So I started in 2013 doing workshops, and that's when I started my business. And I decided pretty soon that I wanted to go online with that. But that started with this whole BEbrandYOU. And that was this journey to assist people through workshops. I'm a speaker. I had an opportunity to speak in different countries around the world, like Russia, Malaysia, Bahrain. And so that book and that journey of speaking allowed me to connect with a lot of people to help them solve the same questions. Who am I? Where's my community?
I was just about to ask Lorraine, BEbrandYOU, is that, I mean, I was just wondering, how did you get to that part, BEbrandYOU? Is that like a self-discovery journey of you? And as you are going through that discovery, you are then also thinking, well, there must be other people like me out there, and I can now serve them with what I've discovered. Is that how you got to that point?
Yes, and also, so around 2014, 2015, this whole world is changing. I'm in this self-discovery mode and helping other people at this time. Yeah. But what really hurt inside, and I guess that comes into my why, was that there was a lot of people like me, especially people with a lot of information, a lot of, like, in our history as humans, we always look to our elders for wisdom. And all of a sudden, to me, they were silenced. Because if they weren't able to get onto the global communication channels, if they couldn't have a YouTube channel, if they couldn't figure that all out, they were silenced and they were scared and they didn't know how to get into this whole new world and make this massive transition in human history that's never been happened before. Yeah, yeah. And so that's my why. And so the BEbrandYOU was a way for me to explain to others what it means about our identity in our world today and where is our community and how we can continue to live our purpose and make an impact. So just a quick note too is that personal branding was kind of coming into the thing. People weren't really saying personal branding. It started in 2000. And like, I go back to my hometown, my dad told me my reputation was important. Today, our reputation is our personal brand. It's just digital. Yeah. And so that's what BEbrandYOU is okay. I wanted it to be personal. We're still personal with it. We're still authentic, but it's our global reputation, really.
So from the start of BEbrandYOU till, let's say, up till COVID, if I would see you at work, tell me, what will I see you do within your business up until that time?
So up until that time, so again, I was living in Dubai, I was doing workshops, I was coaching, doing a lot of coaching and speaking internationally in different places about personal branding, about that type of thing. And coaching, and I took my coaching business online in 2012. Okay. Although my clients didn't really come on board until 2020. They always wanted the face-to-face, but now most people prefer the accessibility of the online.
All right. Well, we're going to come to that in a moment, the 2020 journey, because stuff happens, when COVID hits the world. But you mentioned something, that you are a speaker and you travel to, I hear Moscow, lots of other places that you shared. So I am positive that there are people listening to you right now and says, man, I want to be a speaker too. And I myself have this question. How did you manage at all to get invited to these kind of places?
So a big part of my journey was in 2015. I was a Toastmaster, and I couldn't My Toastmasters club in New Zealand wasn't going to meet for the summer, and we were spending the summer here because my two kids were going to get summer jobs, and my husband was going to fly out of Dubai and visit us in New Zealand. And I was looking for a club to join because I'd have to drive 2 hours to a club.
Yeah.
And I found this online club, and it was Firebirds Collective, and I became the first full year president of Firebirds Collective. And that is what got me connected globally with people from around the world, really.
Yeah.
And that and also Dubai is a multicultural place. And so it like 70% of the people living there are not, you know, UAE local citizens.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the connection of people and through business, it just happens, like business happens. Yeah.
You responded to one of my messages in a community that we are both part of, SPI Pro, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But and I asked a question about has anyone got like a story about a customer's journey, and you mentioned about, you know, when COVID hit, that kind of took you and your customer's journey on a different path. I mean, can you share something about what happened to your business, to you, to your customers, and what did you do to shift your customer's journey?
So just a little bit of background. So for me, we all have our COVID story. So me and my husband were skiing in Whistler. We got back to Dubai, and I had speaking engagements in Philippines, in Aruba, in the Dutch Caribbean, and in different places in Dubai. And all of a sudden, I got back to Dubai, and I had coaching workshops overseas. And all of a sudden, I decided at the last minute to come back to New Zealand because my daughters were here, and I ended up on the last plane into New Zealand. So, and the borders are still shut.
Wow.
So then what happened was that my husband was still working there, but then he ended up leaving in October. So I didn't see him for 10 months. But we figured out that he went into early retirement. And so all of a sudden I was left in COVID I had this connection, physical connection with people from around the world. And that's what I relied on. I didn't do a lot in social media marketing or anything because I didn't have to, because I made the connections to speak, and then I would make those connections. And so all of a sudden I'm literally in the bottom part of the South Island of New Zealand. And how do you connect? And I decided in August of 2020 to go online. Fully, just take the cut and not do anything personal, but just really go online. So that was really that. And so that was the customer shift. And so, yeah, someone in SPI Pro, I'm in a mastermind there. Gustavo was listening on that mastermind. And then he said, hey, you really need to look at your customer journey. So we ended up on a call. That's the great thing about these communities. Yeah. And he really helped me to figure out, how does my customers now come and find me? So I have to do some more social media marketing, and I had changed my website and I rebranded. And then how do I move through all of that? And I had to get clarity on all of that because it changed. And my business model went to subscription based instead of,
So tell me, I'm a customer, or no, I'm a visitor, let's say on your website. Tell me a bit about the journey that I might go on, that in the end I might decide, yay, you know, I like this lady, I want to ask for some coaching or do a course or join her community. I mean, how does it work? Do you do like seminars or webinars? Tell me, how does it work?
So the best way that it works is you would find me because you would connect with me probably on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook.
Okay.
And you would find me out there, or through most of all through word of mouth. And because that's still how our businesses work. You would end up on my website and see that I could do some coaching, and right at the top, I'm all about clarify brand you, communicate effectively, and execute efficiently. Those are my three main things. So if that resonates with you, you're going to start scrolling down, and it depends on you. I would encourage you to have a conversation with me, to reach out to me through email first in that conversation. And you could do some coaching. I also have the BEbrandYOU Academy, where I have courses up, and I do it on an idea that here's a select group of courses. They're called the 7 action step series. Every course is 7 action steps.
Okay.
And that can help you fill the holes in for who you are as BEbrandYOU. And you'll also notice then on the website that I have a membership community, and I would highly encourage you then to join the DoBookClub, because that's where we have global conversations about member facilitated books about doing the best version of ourselves. And so we get this information coming and have great conversations in a forum and in Zoom. And I think you'd be pretty integrated, and there's a lot of opportunity for any type of assistance you need, really.
Wow. So you kind of shifted things in August, or you started to shift things in August. We're now July 2021.
Yeah.
How are things going? How are you experiencing the change? What is it like for you?
You know, this is the thing about BEbrandYOU. It's not static. It's always changing. And that's the thing. You can't like say, I know who I am. Every quarter, I relook at my vision, my purpose, my why, my values, my 5-year goals. Every quarter, I have an accountability partner every year. My accountability partner and I decided in August of last year that we were going to execute. And that's what we did. So a big part of me executing to go fully online was to what I call just increase my tech stack. And I've just finished that. So I've upgraded, for example, from iMovie to ScreenFlow. I've now got Airtable working for me, so I can, and getting some social media through Loonly. So a lot of tech is really tough, and I'll be, that's where we help each other out, like learning all that. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Something interesting is happening on the 4th of September 2021.
Right.
Please tell me about it.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. In February 1st, I always wanted to start a community online for people that were being the best version of themselves. And so on February 1st, BEbrandYOU membership community launched with 18 founding members.
Wow.
Self-selected. We are opening the doors on the 4th of September to other people, because this community is already thriving. And the part we are opening is the DoBookClub. It's a place to, you know, we can all read books. We all want to be lifelong learners. We all want to read, but unless you action any of that stuff in the book, you're not going to get anywhere. So to action it, join the DoBookClub, and you'll be with a group of people that are having great conversations and connecting globally, networking.
I think that DoBookClub is, personally, I think it's really powerful, because I am sure that people that are listening have plenty of books in their house that they just bought because it's so great to hold it in your hands and to say, I've got this book, but you never get into it. You never go through it. So to have a book club whereby you are, I don't want to say forced to, but by being part of a group to go deeper into it, I think that is what books are meant for, isn't it? To get the knowledge from it and take action and encourage each other doing so.
Yeah, and I think when we learn to listen to other people, I mean, we've had conversations in the book club about our perception of words and how our perceptions are different because we're in different parts of the world. And we need to learn that. If we're communicating on a YouTube channel or meeting our top clients that are global, and we don't understand the differences and accept and really embrace those.
Yeah.
The great thing about this book club is that it is member run. So every month a new person facilitates it. And the way it's set up is that you don't have to read the book. How's that?
Okay.
Because I've always been in book clubs and I never get a chance to always read the book. The person facilitated is guided to run the book club in a way that they spark conversation based on the book. Because the DoBookClub is in a private space on a Circle platform, you can go back through the forum and look at any of the conversations on any of the books. So, you know, like during December and January, maybe you got some time to look through some books. You can read the book and go back into the conversation. So that's what's really good.
I can see you're excited about this particular aspect of what is coming. You know, and it fits really well in with what you're already doing. So yeah, super exciting, that stuff. You and I are connected through SPI Pro, Smart Passive Income, run by Pat Flynn and his team, Team SPI. I don't know if you've been a founding member or if you've been there long, but tell me, being part of a community like that, how has that been beneficial for you?
Yeah, I'm a founding member of SPI Pro, and to me, community is everything. And online community is where we're at today. And what's happening is people are leaving the public spaces of conversations. It's kind of like going out into New York City on the streets, and you're kind of going on the Facebook street or the Instagram street or something like that. It's just big public and that. Where we grow as humans is socially entrusted, authentic, supportive environments. And from where I look is there's a lot of communities like SPI. SPI Pro was the one that showed me that the platform Circle is the one to use. And in the BEbrandYOU community, we have a higher tier. And in that higher tier, it's focused on masterminds. And we have a couple of people there that are going to start growing their community as well and their online schools. And so they're getting support through masterminds to do that, you know, so it's great.
Thank you for that. I mean, I listening to your story, I mean, just finding people there that were willing to help you to think in August 2020 with pivoting, you know, and go online and be in a mastermind. Yeah, that's amazing to be part of that kind of group. I am thinking that we discussed it at the beginning that you are doing something special with was it with your daughter? Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Please tell me about it.
So I come from, as I said, I was a teacher, and for a while, and so very connected to teenagers. And my daughters grew up, so they had New Zealand and American citizenship, and they grew up in Dubai until they were 12, and then they transitioned to New Zealand to finish their schooling.
Yeah. Now,
for kids like that, they've been called third culture kids. But it was on a trip to Prague with my daughter that I found out, and we had some great conversations. And this is the basis of our book, is the conversations that happened in Prague. And the book is basically a conversation between a mother and a daughter about the question of where am I from? That was a question that my daughter asked me when she was 12. And then we talked about it again when she was in her 20s. And for people that don't understand that, they don't understand the question, where are you from? What does that mean? But for people that have had the problem or a challenge with answering that question, they know exactly what we mean. When somebody says, where are you from to my daughter, she wants to say Dubai, but she doesn't have citizenship there. So how do you find your identity? So we are in the second edit of our book. It's called Where Are You From? A question that challenges identity in our culturally blended world. We've got a new community starting for a private space for conversation called the Culturally Blended People Community. And it's going to be a place that is really close to my heart because, for example, in 2020, there were like more than 5,000 pilots working for Emirates in Dubai. And they just chopped that. I think it's like 1,000 or something now. So many went on unpaid leave, or they left, and so where did all those kids go? They all went to a place that they were told was home, but they didn't grow up there. And so I've been able to speak in Dubai at educational conferences to counselors and teachers. One of the worst things a teacher can ask a student is, where are you from?
Yeah.
Because if they say where they're from, like my daughter might say, I'm from America, or I'm from New Zealand, or she would say New Zealand. No, you can't be. You don't sound like a New Zealander.
Yeah, yeah.
This is mental health issues. This is identity issues. So my speaking career will now not just be online, but it will be also face-to-face. And that's where I want to take my speaking now, is to really address this issue. It really hurts me inside. And this book is, I get tears in my eyes when I read what my daughter wrote. She's very vulnerable.
I think it's a very privileged position that you are in, that you've been able to do this with your daughter. You know, for me, family relationships is everything. You know, if something is not right there, then it will affect lots of aspects of life. So to hear that from you is truly wonderful. And, you know, and I can see the passion as you are talking about it. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the thing too is I think this book's going to be amazing because I'm hoping to save a lot of parents from what I went through, because I have to say, I didn't really know my daughter until 22, until I started having these conversations. And if I would have known what I know now, I would have really supported her a lot better. So it's because of her vulnerability to come out and say how she feels and what it felt like and how she was grasping for straws at her identity. I mean, I'm like, let's go home, you know? It's like, this is just grandma's place, you know?
Yeah,
so
I can really relate to a lot of the things you're saying there. You know, my background, we have a few businesses, but one of my businesses is that I train social workers and family support practitioners in how to coach families in the right way, and particularly in family relationships. So myself, I've worked with 1,000+ families who were at risk of breakdown. And I can see, you know, a lot of regret with parents, but not because they made choices on purpose, but they were just not simply aware of it. And that is part of my big role, is to help parents increase the awareness of themselves. And when they discover that, then so many things can blossom and grow from there, which is super exciting.
Exactly. Yeah.
One last question.
Yeah.
Anyone out there who is either at the beginning or in the midst of building their freedom business, whatever that is for anyone out there, what have you got? And I'm throwing this at you, but have you got one big takeaway or one big, how do you call that, thing, encouragement that you can say to anyone who is in that journey of building their business?
So yeah, my decision for freedom journey happened when I was back at my master's degree, doing my master's degree. I was 40 minutes from a ski slope. So I used to go skiing, and I was having my lunch, having soup at the top of the volcano in New Zealand. It was Mount Rubehu. And watching these businessmen were on their phone. This is 2011. And they were just running their business from the top of a mountain. And I thought, that's what I want. And I've been able to get that, but I didn't get it because I think what I would say is, don't put your freedom business idea in a box. Let it evolve. Part of humans is that we are creators. Don't look at the things that seem to be roadblocks as problems. Welcome them, because they really do become part of your journey. I shared what happened to me in 2020. That has catapulted me into exactly where I need to be. And finally, like Steve Jobs says, it's because of that massive disruption in 2020 that I can look back to the dots have finally connected.
Okay, thank you, Lorraine. Lorraine, we've spoken about many things, BEbrandYOU, the community. If people want to reach out to you and learn more about any of these things, can you give a few domain names or a few web addresses where they can find you? And if they want to reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so the best way is on my website, LorraineTaylor.com. Everything flows into there. You can sign up for my newsletter. It's called Living Brand You. It's where my story connects to yours. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram mostly. And I'm always open for a chat. So just check me an email on the contact form on my webpage, and that's the best place to start.
Lorraine, we've only spoken for a short time, but I already feel that, you know, I can see you're a traveler, an explorer. But after all that traveling explorer, coming back to planet Earth and really finding who you truly are, and got new missions to go places. I thank you for your passion. I thank you for your knowledge. And I really enjoyed our chat. And I hope to be connecting with you soon maybe in SPI Pro or in any other way. But I wish you a really good day and speak to you soon.
Okay, thank you, Erik. It was a great conversation.
Good, take care. All right, I hope you enjoyed this interview. I thought Lorraine was full of passion about what she spoke about. And I love the story about her and her daughter at the end. So if you want to connect with me, or if you want to connect with other listeners, then I want to invite you to join our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/building my freedom business. I look forward to seeing you there, and I look forward to be in your ears in the next episode. Take care.